Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to ATM Spellbound. Now, since the last episode, it has been just a little bit. It hasn't been like super long. I was just finishing up some prep. It's something I've kind of been prepping for about or between like 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. And basically it's this chest right here, which I was just thinking there's a few things I did not make, but that's okay. We'll get those a little bit later. And I will go ahead and say this episode will probably span 2 parts because we actually have quite a few setups to get in place to get this running, and then I want to do a couple setups after to kind of make use of it. Because what we're going to be setting up today is completely overkill. We don't need it for anything, but I just want to do it just for fun because we have actually not had a need within this pack for a really big Britannia mana setup. And I feel like with this being a really Magic themed pack, we have to do a big Britannia mana setup, right? All of our mana is coming from Rose Arcanas, from the mob farms. And that's no fun. So we're going to be doing a very big mana setup. I've got a few things here. This is not going to be everything that we need. Like I said, this is just some stuff that I prepped for over the course of a bit, just to kind of get us ready. Some of it I may not need as much of. Like, I don't know that I'll need 56 mana pools, but maybe. That's just what we had made up when we accidentally crafted a stack of them. So, or I don't think it was really accidental because we got so much living rock at this point. But I do have 81 Kikimurus. I don't know that we'll get around to actually upping our crafting speed to actually make use of all of these, but I thought it would be fun with our dining room, since we have all this like placed food, which I did reorganize it slightly. If we were to make use of our Kikimurus, whoops, almost as if they were sitting here eating food. So we're going to go through and we're going to place, I should have enough. I counted out these seats and it should be 81. Now this is not going to include the bench on the far side there, but we're going to have all these really hungry Kikimurus. I did consider doing Gormialises as well, but then I was like, Kikimurus are just more fun, even though Gormialises in this pack would probably be really powerful with Epic Oreos, I imagine. Or a multitude of other foods that we can craft within this pack. But Kikimurus are just a lot more interesting. Now, I will say, just a quick disclaimer, there is easier ways to make cakes. You know, there's Astral Sorcery method. There's, let me see. I want to say there's a couple other methods within this pack. There's this one. This one usually is really, really popular. I don't personally like it. I think I've used it in like one series, which I think was like Sevtech, because I think it cuts out a lot of fun automation, because making cakes is just fun, and it cuts a lot of that out. There's also this one here, which would actually be really easy to set up, but once again, kind of cuts out a bit of interesting automation because, you know, it doesn't require the milk part, which I think is a lot of fun. And then there's actually the mixing cauldron from Hexery, which is kind of interesting. A little bit more expensive on wheat, but and sugar for that matter. A little bit more farming, but you don't need chickens, it seems like. But we're going to go with just the default method. I think it's the most fun to set up. I think cake is probably one of the best recipes in vanilla Minecraft. And so that's one thing I dislike about Starlight Transmutation, is it really cuts out the best recipe within vanilla, which is the cake. Because it's just, there's a lot to it. And usually it's a little bit of a process to automate in modded, because you're pulling from a lot of different things. So, there we go. There is our Kikimurus. It really livens up this room already. Now, of course, we have to automate cakes, and that's where kind of all the setup comes up, and then, of course, feeding these Kikimurus. Actually, for feeding the Kikimurus, we can go ahead and set that up, and we're just going to be using Renin Carpuses. Of course. A little bit more flowers. They're going to be kind of sort of dancing on the table, if you will. So I kind of wanted to give our dining room a purpose. We have this really big room. We don't really use it for much of anything. We do use this, where we did use this room, and then I was like, Epic Oreos, which I have decorated it, you know, back in here and everything. I decorated it, I don't know, a little bit back. Hasn't been like super long. But let's see. We got those. I want to put a Renin Carpus right up here as well. We're going to have it hanging out right there. We're putting them on top of the dark oak tables. they should be able to place just fine. For example, if I threw down a Random Carpus, do you see Random Carpus? You do. Great. So there we go. That's all set up. Like I said, it's going to be complete overkill. Like, we may not be crafting enough cakes to keep all these running, but I just wanted to do it more just for fun. Like I said, we actually don't even need the mana, but we're going to do it just for fun. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the setup. And actually, well, we'll get into those here in a little bit once we actually set up the dropping system for in here. And some of this stuff we'll have to kind of jump start at first because we won't have mana moving, but it's going to be, like I said, this is probably going to be a two-part thing. So, but let's see. Let's go ahead and start with the Drum of the Gathering. We'll grab ourselves a few things and we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. I've done a lot of Botania setups in the past, like in my day, so to speak, and I usually don't completely think things through. I just kind of wing it. Let's go ahead. Up above our cows, we're going to be gathering up milk, of course, using our open crates. And I think we'll put our open crates up above our cows. I've got 6 cows basically locked in this area, and then I've got some that are just free roaming, which I have been breeding. Did my baby grow up? It did. I've just been kind of breeding these just to fill out this pen a little bit, so we got lots more cows just for fun. I don't really actually need them, but a lot of the stuff, I mean, we're at the point now where we could really just push onto the ATM star, but I'm just kind of having fun doing really random things. And at this point, I am going to turn off our Entangled Chalice for right now, just to make this a bit easier for us. And if you want to see how our all the Maudium system is doing, you can see that we have over 1,000 unobtainium at this point, 1,740 vibranium, and almost 5,000 all the Maudium. So I think we're good. I think we are good on those materials, because it actually has not even been that long since the end of the last episode. But it's like I turn around and I've gained like, you know, a couple hundred. So let's go ahead and link this down. These cows are going to get obnoxious, which is fine. I'm going to end up blocking this little area off. Most of this isn't going to be visible. And then we'll put in our hovering hourglass here. Actually, I think, yeah, it's going to get caught on that because of the placement. So we'll put it up here instead. Now, once this has mana, it should fire. I'm going to go ahead, throw down a bucket, mainly on these 3, like the furthest ones. I need 3 milk buckets anyways to set up filters, so we're going to give this a shot. Hopefully it will reach all of them. If not, that one got milk. That one got milk. Yeah. And this one got milk. Great. Okay, so it will reach all of them. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, move that over like that instead. I may end up changing the 1 second because it's firing like constantly. Probably, honestly, it would probably be better to at least do 2 seconds, so it's not just constant firing, because I think 2 seconds should be sufficient for this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put in, actually for this I'm not even going to really need a hopper because I'm going to use a limited number of buckets within the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to have output node here, 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 and I am going to have to get some more output nodes. There's a lot of things that are just going to kind of nickel and dime me that I'm going to have to craft as we go today. So, but we're going to go ahead and tell this that it can do buckets. And we'll just go ahead and slot these in. Just drop all the buckets. It doesn't matter. Originally I was going to have that on a timer system, but then now that I'm setting it up and I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I actually don't need the timer system at all. Just drop all the buckets. Because we're going to have a limited number of buckets in the system. It's probably going to be a pretty decent amount, but we're just going to have a limited number, and so we can just drop all the things, basically. Alright. I had some stuff crafting. What did I have crafting? Nothing? Okay. Cool. And nothing. Cool. Oh, and if you want to see how we're doing on essences, we have 458 insanium. I don't think it's going to be quite enough. I mean, it's enough to make a few ATM stars. It's not enough for our decorative thing, for our pedestals. It's also not enough really to craft everything that an ATM star can make, but that's okay. If we need to set up a farm for Inferium, we will. You know, it's not really a big deal. It's the most mundane material to gather, so. The only time that I mind it is when it's like, you need 10 million insanium. It's like, I don't know about that. That's not really fun. I need to keep this on me. I just always put it away because it's like, I look at it and I'm like, I don't really need that. Especially when I'm trying to make space, crafting like runes or flowers. Because I had to craft like, it's funny because the high tier runes from Britannia, they're not expensive whatsoever. I don't mind ever crafting them because they literally just take like 2 mana diamonds. Like I had to make runes of gluttony, right? And it's like 2 mana diamonds, you know. Because the runes, you get them back, so it makes it so that the actual high tier runes are really, really cheap and they're not like a headache to craft. Now, granted, we could have set up automation for it. I did consider it, but then I felt like, yeah, crafting a bit of Cakey Maris's, it takes some time. Not a long time, because you're literally just throwing in mana diamonds to make runes of gluttony, really, and then you're just clicking the flower or clicking the pedestal with an empty hand. That's not that bad. But I did consider setting up automation, but when it comes to setting up automation, that's going to take more time, probably, to set up and prepare for, and then you have this big clunky system. If it's going to take more time than what you're actually going to need it for, would take to manual craft, it's just not really worth it, you know. And I'm just going to link all these up together. But now, actually, instead of linking all these together, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to run them through the master. But that way we kind of have more of a round-robin effect than if we ran them through. Because what would happen is the first node on the line would always get the buckets. If we ran it that way. And this is going to work out better for us. So there we go. All those are connected up to the master. And then we are going to just run ourselves a little line here. It's 16 blocks. I don't know if I'm going to be able to span the river. No. So what we'll do is we'll just come out, oops, say right in here, and we'll just do our routing node here. There we go. And so you can actually barely see it unless you're kind of really looking for it, especially if you're out flying. And really, with it being a magical base, I don't mind if little orbs are floating in the air anyways. So, and basically I just need to take this kind of up towards the dining room. It's going to take a few routing nodes, for sure. But we're going to be using this for a couple different things as well, so probably would have taken less if I had straight shot it over, but I'm just going to curve it and go up. It doesn't really matter. Distance doesn't matter with blood magic nodes, so you can go crazy with it. So, and as you can see, I kind of ran it up like that instead of just coming straight across. I guess that doesn't really matter. Plus, if we hold our wand, we kind of have these ley lines, kind of these wild ley lines running through here. And basically we're going to run it over to the kitchen. So, of course, cakes, we got to make them in the kitchen. So, that is where we're going to be making them. Okay, so that's really it. We've got to send mana over here. We will. Right now we're kind of just jump starting this system. We'll handle moving the mana soon enough. So in that case, let's go ahead and pop into the kitchen. Well, before I do that, let me go ahead and just grab my node so that I've got it so I can plug it up whenever I'm ready for it. Oh, and actually this started getting shaped up. I had to do floorboards up here just to hide because it's so close to the top of the ground I had to hide it. Let's go ahead, pop into the kitchen. So what we're going to do is this little table here is going to be our cake crafting area. It's not really going to be much crafting going on the table itself, but items are going to be falling. I assume it's my ender hopper that's grabbing everything. Yeah, this actually works out perfect because I've got a lot of space up here that I really just wasn't using for anything. And this way I can make use of it. So I'm going to open this up just so we can access it. And it's you that's just gnawing on everything over here. I need to remove this ender hopper. This was mainly for when we were doing the Farmer's Delight stuff. So let's go ahead. We're going to set up our crafty crates here. So you're not going to see all the kind of guts that are ran up through there. And then let's get ourselves Some hopper hawks. Oh, I forgot I made all that stuffed pumpkin. I completely thought I was out of stuffed pumpkin. It doesn't really matter, but I thought I was out of it. Let's see, if we had... See, if I put it here, let's say, it should cover and be able to collect from these, I should think. Without mana, that is. So let's go ahead and put an item frame on this, and we're going to put in empty buckets. So that way, if an empty bucket gets dropped, the hopper hawk should see it and should grab it. There we go. But if anything else gets dropped, of course, the hopper hawk is not going to grab it. Of course, that works like a filter for the hopper hawk. And that way we can just collect all the buckets into that. And then we can have an input routing node here. This is going to be inputting the buckets. And we're a little bit far, so we're going to go ahead and naturally put ourselves in another routing node. There we go. And we're going to take and set up a filter. We actually don't have to filter this. We could just do a blacklist. I'm going to go ahead and do buckets, though, just because we can, but a blacklist would work the exact same way because all this can accept is buckets, unless we manually put something into that. And then let's go ahead. Let's actually upgrade these chests to iron chests, just because. And we're going to put chests in, whoops, right there. And then we're going to put in output routing nodes here, like that. And we're going to put one right there as well. Now this one on the end, we are going to filter it. I got to get my other filters, but we're going to filter it to only allow sugarcane. There you go. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves crafting pattern 1 by 1. I need placeholders because I haven't done crafty crates yet. There we go. There we go. And we're just going to click that on, and that way it's only going to craft basically one thing in a crafting grid. So sugarcane into sugar. There are more effective ways of crafting sugar, like getting more output, but it doesn't really matter. We have a sylph, and we can always set up a bigger sugarcane farm if we wanted to. We might, but we might not. I don't know. I've actually, when I was down the sylphs earlier, because I put wheat down there, which isn't going to be our primary wheat farm, but that way we just got some wheat coming in. But we had like 80 stacks of sugarcane, so I'm not terribly concerned about it. Now let me go ahead and warp back home real quick. Let me pop down to the blood magic area, because my filter should be done at this point, or another, 16 batch. And apparently when you warp back, you fall through slabs. Good to know. But let's go ahead and configure these to allow milk. Let's grab some sugar, egg, and wheat. And let's go ahead and add these to the filters as well. And we're going to go ahead and tell this that it can keep 9 milk buckets, keep 128 sugar, keep 64 eggs, keep 128 wheat. And then on these, the same thing. All these are configured, and we'll go ahead and add these to the output nodes. And then, let me grab my milk bucket, and we're going to put in our ordered sorter. We're going to put those down through there. We're going to turn that. Because basically we want these feeding into the crafty crates. So, in other series we did the more Britannia True method for crafty crates, but logistical sorters, or ordered sorters, should come in extremely handy for us. Okay, now if we take a look at the cake recipe, it should go from left to right and go down. So we should be milk, 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 sugar, egg, sugar, wheat, wheat, wheat. So let's go ahead. Milk, 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 sugar, egg, sugar, wheat, wheat, wheat. So then if we hold shift there, you can see it's milk, 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 sugar, egg, sugar, wheat, wheat, wheat. Perfect. And it looks like it has already dumped in that. Now if we were to grab ourselves a bit of this stuff, and it may act up at the moment because we were putting things into it. Sometimes it does. Yeah, you can see it got milk, milk, Should have one more milk, right? No, I have the other milk. Milk. Let me see. Now it's trying to do a craft. These things can be a little wonky to set up sometimes. But it got milk. And there we go. It's pulling everything out. And it made us a cake, and it dropped 3 buckets. Now I'm going to pick those buckets up before the Hopper Hawk gets them, because I'm just going to send them over and try to turn those into milk buckets. But which actually, I mean, I've got plenty of iron. Let me see if the Hopper Hawk will reach this without mana. If we need to give it mana, we can. But let's just see if the Hopper Hawk will grab it. It does. Perfect. Yeah, and it's off to the races. It's gone down there to the cows, but there's no mana to actually start the Drum of the Gathering at the moment. So let me go ahead and just configure the rest of these. And then we just need to connect all of this up. This already has the filter for the sugarcane. That's great. All these are pretty much configured. Now, we may have to do a little finagling like we did with that one once it comes time to actually get these up and running. But they should work just fine once they are set up and running, basically. So we're going to plug all that up. Let's see. I'm going to leave that open for now. We need to set up collection for the cakes. We're already collecting the buckets, but we need to collect the cakes, and we need to collect the sugar as well. So for this, we're going to be using 2 more Hopper Hawks. I'm not going to have enough sides on these, unfortunately, to actually use them, which is a little unfortunate, but we can use this if I remove a goblet and just move it down. So yeah, we'll put a Hopper Hawk in right here. We're going to put our item frame up there. This one is going to be collecting the cakes. There we go. And we're going to need an input routing node. This one's going to be on a separate line, though. Well, no, it could probably run through the same line, honestly, since we're filtering everything. And since it doesn't really matter if it's connected to the system, because nothing is really going to be outputting to the system from this, I think we should be able to just connect it up to the same system and run everything through the same master that's down there. So let me actually just add cake to a filter real quick. And then we'll put that back in. And we'll put that in there. Okay, now for the sugar, an input node here. And this one, of course, we're going to be inputting... Oops. Everything's trapdoors everywhere. Let's go ahead and do sugar on that. And then we'll put in our Hopper Hawk there. So sugar can get grabbed from that. We're going to go ahead and just connect all this up to the same line. We'll just run this whole system off the same master. It mainly comes into play when you need multiple masters, when you're plugging things up to your system that has a lot of things and you don't want things to get pulled out just to get reinserted, just to keep TPS down. But that should be good. I mean, the kitchen is mostly configured at this point, and we can bake cakes. Now we just have to plug up all the rest of the items that are going to be coming through to this. So let's go ahead and get eggs plugged up now. They're going to be coming from the chickens. I need to put the frame on this here soon. But we're going to put our input there. It should still... Yeah, I can still see that. That's great. And we are going to be taking eggs from this. And we'll just put that into there. And we're just going to plug this up. Now, like I said, to run this like constantly, consistently, at full speed, you probably have to upgrade a little bit more than what we're going to be doing. But like I said, it's just kind of a for fun setup. And the scale of our Kekimuruses is partially for decoration too. So, can I run it? I can. Wonderful. We're actually using quite a few routing nodes. A lot of times we don't actually use a whole lot of routing nodes, but we are today. Go. I thought I would have plenty of routing nodes. I was so sure. Like, I don't usually use them that much, but today we are. I don't think I can make it to this, can I? Nope. And probably just take it over to there. Okay, so eggs should be plugged up. And if we take a look now, Just to make sure everything on the kitchen end is running good, let's make sure that we've got eggs coming in to our chests at this point. Our cakey Marisses are hungry. We have to feed them. Alright, so we have eggs. We have eggs. We have eggs. We have eggs. Wonderful. Okay. So that's basically the milk and the eggs out of the way. I do still have to do one more thing I just thought of to the milk, because I actually didn't put in collection. I'm making milk, but it wouldn't be going anywhere at the moment. So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to use a hopper hawk. We're going to have a hopper hawk chest there. Chest's going to have an item frame right there that collects milk. And we'll have the hopper hawk just... I love you guys so much. I love it when you do this. We're going to have the hopper hawk setting right there. I love how they love to congregate here. Like, why? Why here? Okay. Well, anyways, that's set up. Yeah, I'm going to have to make more routing nodes probably. And then we can have an input routing node that is collecting our buckets of milk. And if I threw down that, hopper hawk should get it. It does. Great. And let me check. Let me actually check the far side. So it goes there. It might be a little... I might need to feed it mana. That's fine. Whenever we set it up, I will, because I'll have mana coming over here. Hopper hawk doesn't need much mana, and that way we can just boost the range a little bit. Alright, so let me set up a filter here, handling our milk buckets. And, oh my god, why are you so many cows? Milk buckets. And we'll just link that up to the master. Awesome. And I think our ley lines have gotten bigger. Ley lines running all over this place. Okay, let's see. We got eggs, milk. We need the wheat. Okay, let's do the wheat farm. And then we'll plug up the sugarcane and sugar last. And honestly, it's going to go crazy when it gets that. So, actually, do I want to, instead of having it in like on that cabinet, let me see if there's a place I can put a drawer for sugar. Because that way I don't have to limit it. I can just go crazy with sugar and let it go crazy with sugar for now. So, and of course, if I did that, I wouldn't need the item frame, so I could have the frame trapdoor there. Yeah, I tell you what, let's just because it's going to work a whole lot better for us. Oh, well, that's right. I actually forgot all these stuffed pumpkins were here. Okay, so we'll just put the drawer in. We'll put in sugar. And we'll go ahead and lock that. And that way we don't have to filter it either, which is good. And then we're just going to do full out storage upgrades into this. So we can store 7,168 stacks of sugar. And for sugar and sugarcane, because I'm going to go ahead and pump out... No, actually, I'll probably leave the sugar that's in the system. We're just going to pump out sugarcane. And we're just going to set ourselves up an input node right there. And we're going to go ahead and allow just sugarcane. We'll go ahead and filter that just to make sure there's not any issues. But we're going to go ahead and allow sugarcane from the system, from this place. And let's run that out. I may have to make routing nodes. I'm not for sure. Okay, I can run to there. So yeah, I'm going to need some routing nodes. Basically, if I just plug it up to the chicken area, that should be fine. So let's just pop down. We have used so many nodes in this base. But luckily, they're like dirt cheap. And we can just run this over to the chicken area. Okay, so now, if we pop up, there is a pretty good chance we will see the crafting crate getting with it and producing us sugar. Why are you not feeding? Unless the... It's possible the node actually will not feed into crafting crates. I could have swore it did. Because I think we've used it like that before, but it may not anymore. Of course, that was in an older version, so... It may not, or I may just be misremembering it too, so I don't know. It's not going to be as fast, but it should still be plenty fast, I think. But I may end up having to add more crafting crates, which is fine. Technically, I could do 5 across the other side, and that would be fine as well. There we go. Now sugarcane's coming in. And we should see it falling as sugar. Technically, we've got honey bottles too. And there's that method, but we're going to be using our Create Crusher for some automation soon anyways. So I really don't want to set up another one. Now, it'll take a second, of course, because the stack is updating, but it's not really a big deal for us. Because after the stack gets filled to 64, it can no longer update. And that's when the Hopper Hawk will grab it. It's going to grab the whole stack at a time. To filling up that stack, there we go. That stack's no longer going to update. The Hopper Hawk's going to grab it. And, of course, then it goes up to here. And you can see it's not really touching our sugarcane count because we've got plenty of sugarcane. So, alright, and now we just need to do our farmland for wheat. Alright, so for our wheat setup, we're actually going to be setting this up out here. Kind of for convenience sake, and kind of because my garden down there is actually like jam-packed field, and I need a little bit of space for this. But let's go ahead. Do we want to go premium? Because we could. Yeah, why not? It'd be fine. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a stack of Supremium farmland. And we're going to fill out this area right here with a big wheat field, basically. And just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to get my diopside shovel. And we're going to kind of keep with the terrain, kind of making it a little bit wild like this. Of course, we don't need water with the Mystical Agriculture farmland. And it's going to speed up our crop growth a little bit. We're going to have some nice red farmland. I use the blue one, Imperium, for the farms down in the Sylph area. And just because it matches a little bit better. But we're going to have this really stark red farmland out here. Might even bump it up to 2 stacks. Once that builds back up, I don't know. We'll see. There's going to be that black border. I don't know that I actually mind it that much in this case. Normally I would fill that in. I might. I don't think I'm going to use Supremium farmland to fill it in, but I might get like a red block of some sort and fill that in. Just so it's a little bit smoother. But there is a stack of Supremium farmland. Let's go ahead. I think I can do this with just 1 Hopper Hawk. Though it does mean... No, let's actually pull up this. Oh no. That's alright. It's whatever. It's just for Supremium. I should have used Silk Touch there, but let's go ahead and slot in wheat. And let's get ourselves some storage upgrades. And I think I got one, yeah, I got 1 space left. Let's just do a void upgrade just for safety purposes. Now, this system, we could set it up to collect the seeds. I'm not going to bother with it. I'm just going to let the seeds despawn because it is single player. If this was on a server, I would care a little bit more, but it's not. It's on single player, and I don't mind having a few seeds hanging out on the ground around this. But let's go ahead. Let's run out our wheat all around here. And then we're going to go ahead and set up our Drum of the Wild. This is going to have to go somewhere. Right? It's going to have to go somewhere. And let's do it here. I really don't like it floating. Let's have it be actually sitting on the ground just so it looks a little bit better. And then we're going to have our Pulse Mana Spreader, say right here. We're going to have an Hourglass. I didn't grab an Hourglass. That's fine. I'll just make another one. I don't feel like going all the way back up there because they're dirt cheap. So we'll put that in there. And we're going to bind that down. Of course, it is going to require some mana. We'll get that set up. It probably won't be till next episode, honestly. And actually something I just thought of that we're going to have to do really, really quick. But let's go ahead, grab ourselves a piece of wheat, and let's just add this to the filter because the Sylph's making wheat too, and I don't foresee myself needing wheat, and it's easy enough. I've got a farm down there with wheat that's like a manual harvest, so we're going to go ahead and allow wheat to come in through this system as well, just so we can get what the Sylph's making as well. So, okay. Yeah, I'm going to need like another stack, possibly 2 stacks of this farmland to fill it completely out. But we're going to go ahead and take our Wren and Carpuses now. And we're going to put these basically just floating around And actually, I'm not going to be able to have as many seeds. That's fine. We're going to put Renning Carpus there and a Renning Carpus here. And that honestly should cover the entire field. So really, we'll just go ahead and throw 16 down on that one. 15 down on that one. And that one's going to fill our field back out for us. If I break that one, yeah, it gets that. If I break, say, this one, it gets that. Perfect. So we have, what, 63, 61 farmland at the moment that's actively being farmed. Okay. Now, what do we need? Because I didn't make them, and I meant to. What do we need for agri-carnations? Oh, perfect. Perfect. That is dirt cheap. But I will need wheat for that. It hasn't pulled it all out, because it can only accept so much in those chests, So let me pop up here. I'm going to make some runes of spring. I'm probably going to go overkill a little bit with it, make a bunch, because it doesn't hurt anything. Well, not a bunch. I might make, like, say, 16? And it's what, 3 saplings? Yeah. And just remember, you can do the right click with empty hands. It makes it really, really quick. I mean, you got to sit here and actually craft it, but it does make it extremely quick to craft out these runes and stuff. As long as the runes are cheap. The ones I don't like making are Rune of Water and Rune of Fire and all those like really basic runes, like the tier 1 runes. Those are always and forever the hardest ones to craft. Unless the recipes are tweaked. So that's 11. Now, of course, these agri-carnations, we won't be making use of these just yet because we need mana over there, but we'll get to that. So there's our 16 runes of spring. That should be good for the time being. Let's go ahead. Get our 16 redstone road. It always likes to choose the stuff I don't have that much of, but I don't have any plans for farms, so I'm not that worried about it. And then we'll just pop over. It's going to be 2 lime, yellow, green, redstone root, rune of spring. Where's my stomach with carrying on? I don't know what. It's like growling or something. I have to fix that. And dirt, or that water, I mean. But then we can just go through and get these agri-carnations. So there's our 16 agri-carnations, and we're going to turn these, of course, into floating. I don't usually use too many regular flowers when I have the option of floating. And I will need more pasture seeds for this, so let me go ahead. Pick a mana pool, any mana pool. No, I don't need that one, actually. This one would be great. And then we're just going to pick a color. Let's go blue. Add some glowstone to these. And then get our floating blue flowers. And our floating agri-carnations. There we go. We're going to go set these up. These will use a little bit of mana, but we're going to have a lot of mana coming in. So we'll just use these to boost crop growth. There is, of course, easier ways to boost crop growth, but I think we're going to go with agri-carnations just because it's a little bit more thematic. And like I said, we'll get these set up to actually get mana. It'll probably become next episode, but that way we can speed these up. 16 should give us pretty decent. I mean, there's a lot stronger ways, a lot cheaper ways that don't consume mana, but I just want agri-carnations. And like I said, we don't really need the mana. And I thought I made a mana ceremonial, but I may not have. I don't know. So let me just switch this out. You can see our agri-carnations, they actually cover a fairly large area. They're going to cover this one, which is our farthest one away, is going to cover almost... let me get my 1 to the 4. It's going to cover almost the entire field. Comes out to there. And it should be able to go vertical, no problem. As far as time on this, we don't need it to be like crazy fast. We're going to go with like, say 16. And that should be a good starting point. We might adjust it once we get mana running to this, because you can see these aren't growing like super fast without the agri-carnations running. But yeah, that is going to be the farmland setup. And then all we have to do is, we didn't leave a space for the node. So I'm gonna have to actually grab this. And actually we'll have to see, because sometimes when stuff's on top of wheat, it won't grow properly. But I'll be able to tell once, after just a little bit, if this field is coming in properly or not. And this area, I don't think is chunk loaded. It's not. So let's go ahead Let's just go crazy. Let's chunk load all this, because all this needs to be chunk loaded too. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. That's fine. And then we can set up the node for the input. So just input node there. And for the filter, we're just going to tell it wheat. We don't have to, because it's literally all it has is wheat, but we're going to do it just because we can. So grab from there, and then we're going to have to route that over. And then I can go to the master. Great. Okay. So that is now plugged up. Now wheat is probably going to immediately get pulled. Well, no, it's not, because the system had wheat and it filled up the buffer chest. Yeah. Oh, actually it did get pulled out. Okay. No, it didn't. It got pulled out by me. If I put it in there, it doesn't go anywhere. So the buffer chests are filled. We had enough in our system to fill the buffer chest. So that is to be expected. Now, let's go ahead. We'll have to clean up the buckets, because right now, of course, we don't have mana being fed over here. But let's go ahead. 9 buckets will be fine. I'm actually going to be bumping it up to 27, but for right now, 9 buckets will be fine. So let's go ahead, toss this in for just a moment, just so we can kind of jump start this a little bit. And basically so that we can see cakes being made, because we've got everything coming in. Of course, the wheat farm's not up and running just yet. The sylph is producing wheat, though, that we're going to need. You can see sugar still getting crafted. How much sugar do we have? 55 stacks of sugar. Wonderful. But if we were to take and we threw in these buckets, they're going to get sucked out and sent over. It should start producing milk. And then that milk, of course, is going to get sent over to here. There goes a cake. Those all get collected. There goes another cake. Those all get collected. There goes another cake. All the buckets went to the first one. That's because we don't have enough buckets in the system to actually feed the other ones just yet. But we will get that added. And there we go. We got 4 cakes. Wonderful. Oh yeah, and actually the buckets are cycling around at this point. So let me grab these out at this point, because I don't have the cakes going anywhere, and it's going to fill up that little pantry. We could do a drawer. Of course, it would hold more cakes, but the cakes are going to be getting consumed basically as fast as we're making them. So, alright, so there is our cakes. Our first batch of cakes. Our first 9 cakes. Awesome. So at this point, the cake production is good to go. Now we just have to plug up the dining room itself. And all the mana bits and all that stuff. So for that, we're going to wait till part 2. And then next episode, we'll get everything plugged up. It's really not going to take that long, realistically. The cake part, honestly, is one of the biggest things. Then we're going to do a little setup at the end. Not really related to this, but it does use some of the mana that we're going to be producing. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I've been looking forward to this setup for a bit. Shortly after I built the dining room, I was like, I know what I want in here. Because otherwise, it's just a big room. It's decorative, but we need a system in here, right? What better system than a big bunch of cake-eating flowers for our dining room? They're not interested in the pumpkins, the pigs, the chickens, none of that. They just want cake. Give us cake or give us death, basically. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out, and I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.